Late Night Health, Hour 2. I'm Mark Alyn. Thanks for joining us today. Our guest this hour, in about 30 minutes, will be Dr. Soch, and we're going to talk about new moms getting tools to beat postpartum depression. During this half hour, we're going to talk about fertility and how it weighs on you psychologically for both a man and a woman with Dr. Chloe Carmichael. She's a clinical psychologist. Chloe, welcome to Late Night Health.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's great to be here.
Tell me, is it really that common for people who can't have children to be upset and concerned about it?
Well, yes, absolutely. The desire to have children is a primal desire, of course, that many people feel. At the same time, for many reasons, people are pursuing education, taking longer to get married, all kinds of reasons. They're delaying childbirth, and because, of course, that is tied to age, that means that fertility stress is on the rise. Fertility stress, is that a new syndrome? Well, I suppose, yeah. It certainly seems to be in my practice, and it's a growing industry. It's, now a $1.7 billion industry, and it's growing by almost 4% a year. So all signs point to, yes, it is absolutely on the rise. I know that a lot of people in the 21st century decline to have kids. More and more people are doing that. But are more people wanting kids that can't have them? Absolutely. Many people are declining to have kids in their 20s and even sometimes into their 30s. And then sometimes maybe they get to be about 38 or 39 or 42, and then they suddenly decide that they would like to have kids. So certainly some people decline it altogether, and many people are just delaying it a little bit. I know that I have friends who have declined to have kids, and then, as you said, in their 40s, they decide to have a child. And it's harder for a woman in particular, in her 40s and older, to have children, physically. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It is harder, and those women oftentimes, not always, but they tend to be married to men who are in that age group as well. And for all of us, as we age, fertility does become more difficult. But you're right, it's especially true for the women. And that's why I'm really excited about the fact that many couples are now teaming up to figure out creative ways to take all of the stress, a little bit at least, off the women, because the man, oftentimes, he's just sitting there watching his wife go through this stressful time, and he wishes he could help, but he doesn't know how. So now couples are finding ways, whether it's apps or plans and technology, ways that they can sync up and support each other and help to decrease the stress and make it fun, the way it should be. Right, exactly. I mean, I always tell people, and I'm not a therapist, I'm not a healthcare professional, I just talk for a living, and I tell people just practice. Yeah, definitely. Practice is good. Another popular strategy, it's a really good one, is to make sure that you're making love during the woman's fertile window. There's about 5 or 6 days a month in which the woman is going to be especially likely to have a baby. And it used to be in the past that the woman would have to sit there with a paper calendar Xing out the days trying to figure it out, and today's women just don't have time. So as I was saying, there's a new app, for example. It's called Fruitful, and the Fruitful app actually organizes your ovulation calendar in an app, and then it sends push notifications to your male partner telling him it's a good night to take you to dinner. So it makes the fun back in it again. Oh, that's really kind of clever. Yeah. What about those who need to go to a fertility clinic? And first of all, it's expensive. Often insurance doesn't cover the fertility drugs and the procedures, and it doesn't work. Is adoption something that many people, I mean, I know they go to it, but are they as happy with it as
as having their own child?
Absolutely. And in fact, we're coming up on National Adoption Month, so that's a really perfect question. Absolutely. Adoption can become something that couples, of course, certainly wouldn't have planned on. Very few people, although more and more now, are actually opening up and recognizing the benefits of adoption to the point where they're actually planning it. But for couples that turn to it because they were unable to have their own children, many times they actually end up feeling so blessed and so fulfilled by it that their stress level goes down, and then the woman ends up getting pregnant naturally.
I know that I have a cousin, and he and his wife, his former wife, could not have children, and so they adopted. And as soon as they adopted, she got pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Happens all the time.
Why? Do we know?
Well, because the stress, absolutely. That's the thing about the new baby stress, about the fertility stress, is when we're concerned about having a child, and it's a stress in itself, and at the same time, stress impacts fertility. Stress actually decreases your fertility. So if you're stressed about your fertility, it can become a vicious circle. And so when couples adopt, it kind of takes the edge off. They say, wow, we did it. We adopted. We're parents together. And then they relax and take a deep breath. Next thing you know, oftentimes the woman actually does become pregnant due to the decreased stress.
Having children itself is stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a parent?
No, I'm not a parent yet, Mark, but I'm sure I will be one day.
Okay. As a parent, kids are stressful. Mm-hmm. And I have two. I've been blessed with two wonderful children. I love them very much. But it's stress. And then there are people who don't want that kind of stress in their life. Is there any rules, or is it right or wrong to have a feeling one way or another?
No, Mark, that's absolutely wonderful. I absolutely encourage couples, if they want to not have children, then they should not have children. And couples that do want to have children, they go ahead and do so. I think the fertility stress piece comes in when the couple wants to have a baby, but they're just not getting pregnant.
I have a friend who has 3 cats. They have no children, and she talks to them as if they're babies. This is a woman who's in her early 60s. So my question is having a pet a replacement for a kid?
Well, obviously, pets are quite different from children. However, does having a pet fill one person's need for nurturance, yet only a child would do that for another person? Yes, of course. We have different levels different levels and style of nurturing, and I think it's safe to say that pets are wonderful, and they are certainly very different, of course, than the nurturing that we experience when we have a child.
As women grow older, it's harder and harder for them to have children. And the same is true for men. Though men can sire a child? How did I come up with that? Until they die, apparently. However, there are some problems with that, in that birth defects and other health issues for the child can happen. Can you address that as a psychological problem to face?
Sure, absolutely. You know, you're absolutely correct. It's true that men are able to have children into their 70s. Like the motility of the sperm would tend to go down. And actually men who are over 50 or so, they actually have a higher rate of having children that have certain challenges. Like, for example, schizophrenia has been found to be more common oftentimes when the father is above a certain age, because the sperm copies itself. The woman is born with all of the eggs that she's ever going to have, and as she ages, they kind of basically over-ripen, if you will, and then they're no longer viable. Whereas
it's like a chicken egg in the refrigerator. Leave it there for 2 months and it's rotten.
Sure, whereas the man has a different strategy. He's not born with all of the sperm and when he's born, he reproduces it and copies it over and over again. So it's just like a Xerox paper. When you make a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox, it can tend to get a little fuzzy after a while. So men and women have different fertility challenges. But what I think is wonderful is that they're using technology now as we all get more and more techno-savvy and busy, which is causing us to delay childbirth in the first place. We're now finding ways to team back up and support each other as couples, which is, again, it makes the whole process more fun and less stressful.
Where do you practice?
My practice is on Park Avenue in New York City.
Oh, you're in New York. You're in Manhattan.
Yes, Mark. Where are you?
We're in Southern California. You're in my favorite place in the world.
Oh, well, I love Southern California too.
Especially probably now with the weather back east.
Yeah, it's getting chilly here.
It's getting chilly. It'll be 80 degrees here in Ventura the day that we are recording our conversation with Dr. Chloe Carmichael, who is talking to us about fertility and adoption. We have some more time with Dr. Chloe, and we'll do that in just a couple of moments. If you would like, you can always listen to Late Night Health at latenighthealth.com, latenighthealth.com, or you can tune into other places by going to latenighthealth.com and finding out where we broadcast. Dr. Chloe and I will return as Late Night Health continues.